Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. After my last video, I had a request to show you how I made my kombucha. Truth be told, I am quite new to this, so I was really scared to do it. I had this kit that I bought from the kombucha company. It came with everything that you needed to start the kombucha except water. And it sat probably on my front porch for about 4 or 5 months before I had the nerve to actually get up and do it. And then once I brewed my first batch, it sat for probably 2 months on my porch because I was afraid to get to the next step. And I felt really intimidated by it. And I wish I would have started it when I first got it because it was a whole lot easier. I just followed the steps and now I make kombucha and I have it on hand all the time. First thing that you need when you are doing kombucha is you need a gallon-sized jar, glass jar. And you need a S.C.O.B.Y, which is an acronym for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. And that's going to be your starter for your kombucha. It's basically like a yogurt starter that you would start yogurt in, or a kefir starter that you would start kefir. And the S.C.O.B.Y is what creates your fermentation in your tea. You're going to need some black tea and at least 16 ounces, a little bit more would be better, of some already made kombucha to kind of boost your starter. So this is 4 cups of kombucha. The S.C.O.B.Y is still down in there. I need to pull it out. And we just bottled up our second brew. And I filmed this backwards because I was ready to brew the second batch. And I need to make another batch, but I wanted to do this in order for you. So let me get my S.C.O.B.Y out of there. It looks terrible. It's kind of slimy. It looks like a kind of a slimy pancake. I'm going to let that sit on that right there. And it's really slippery, so don't let it fall down under the floor. So all we are left with is our 4 cups of kombucha. So when you order your kombucha set, you can, if you have a friend that has a S.C.O.B.Y that grew to the point where they're going to split it. I don't know how that works because mine hasn't really grown and I don't know how that works, but I know that S.C.O.B.Ys do grow and you can get some from friends. And you have a glass jar, you don't need to buy this kit. You just need to have some kombucha that you can buy from the store or have your friend give you some, and you need a S.C.O.B.Y. If you can get all that, you don't need to buy this kit. But I bought the kit because I didn't have anybody that was actually making kombucha or had a starter for me. So when you get the kit, it comes with the book of instructions. It comes with everything for your initial batch. It came with the tea. It came with a cup of sugar, the pH strips, the jar, the cloth lid that goes on top with a rubber band, and what else? The S.C.O.B.Y. Came with all that stuff. So basically everything but the water that you need. Oh, and a little dropper so you can drop some kombucha on your pH strips. So to start this batch, we bottled up our second brew over here, and it's going to sit for a couple of days. I have 4 cups of kombucha left in here, and our S.C.O.B.Y is out. So the first thing that we are going to do is brew our tea. Now you need 9 tea bags. I'd buy just an organic black tea. There is a way to ferment and make kombucha out of green tea, and I'd like to do that because I like the flavor of green tea better. I really don't like brewed black tea. I don't like iced tea. I don't like sweet tea. I don't like any of the black tea's flavor, but it's totally different when it's fermented. It doesn't even lend the taste of black tea whatsoever. So you want black tea. I buy organic, and we are going to just take these 9 tea bags and put them in 4 cups of water for 10 minutes. And I already got my water hot on the stove. So we're going to just let those sit in there for 10 minutes. And then once those are brewed for 10 minutes, we are going to take them out and we're going to put in 1 cup of sugar into our pan and then stir it until it's dissolved. It's easier to put it in when the tea is still hot because it dissolves better, especially since I use organic sugar, which is bigger crystals, so it takes a little longer. So once the tea is finished brewing and we've added our sugar, we need to let the tea come down to room temperature because we don't want to kill our S.C.O.B.Y. It's just like it's yeast. So just like getting yeast too hot with too hot of water in a bread will kill your yeast, so will tea that's too hot. So we're going to brew that for 10 minutes, add our sugar, bring it to room temperature, and then we will continue on with our kombucha. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. Our tea has brewed for 10 minutes. I'm going to pull these out of here. Kind of squeeze them just a little bit. Get all that good tea out of there. And if you're using loose leaf tea, you would just use a tea ball and put it in there. Might be easier to use a tea ball rather than trying to squeeze that all out of there. All right, that's all of them. So we have our 1 cup of sugar, and this is still really hot. 1 cup of sugar into the tea. Stir it until it's really dissolved. And then we got to bring this to room temperature. And I think since it's pretty cold outside, I will put this on the front porch and speed up the process a little bit. It could be lukewarm, it just can't be hot. Smells like black tea. This is the part I don't like, because like I said, I don't like the taste of black tea, but I don't know how it totally changes the taste when it's fermented, but it does. All right, sugar is dissolved. So let's bring this room temperature. I'm going to put it on the porch because it's cold out there, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Okay, this is cooled off. It's lukewarm, just barely warm. It didn't take long because it's pretty cold outside. So what we are going to do is we are going to put our tea into our jar of kombucha. And I'm going to use my ladle because this pot doesn't pour very well and usually end up dumping half of it. So we are adding our sweetened tea into the already made kombucha. And you have to use sugar in it because the sugar feeds the yeast. I don't know about any sugar alternatives. But I do know that sugar, or yeast loves sugar. Alright, so here's all of our tea. Now we're going to take our slimy S.C.O.B.Y, put him back in there. In there, and then we are going to fill up the rest of it with water. Now I'm using tap water, but it's important to say that if you live in the city and you have city water or any type of treated water, you're going to want to use filtered water, because just like city water will kill your yeast when you're doing bread, city water will also kill the S.C.O.B.Y because it's city water. So I'm going to just all right, this doesn't pour very well. Just going to fill this up with water until it's to the top. Right up to the top right there. So that is 1 gallon. And we're going to take our cloth top, and it's cloth because it needs to breathe. Our rubber band on there, and that's it. We're going to let it sit for 7 to 21 days. Like I said, for me, it's just under 2 weeks, 12 to 15 days for me. And it just sits here right on my counter, right next to my sourdough, which is right here. So this batch has been sitting on my counter for almost 2 weeks now. And I'm going to take off the lid. Oh, it smells like kombucha. So in your little kit, you should have some pH strips and a little card to show you where it needs to be at. Now it needs to be at 3.5 or lower. And then in the little bag, there's a little dropper. So you're just going to take a little bit out of here. Drop it onto your pH strip and then compare it. It needs to be at 3.5 or lower, and we are definitely there. This has been sitting long enough. And it smells really good too. So I'm going to put those away. Put that in my sink. So I use just quart jars. It's easier for me to just pour it out of the quart jars because I have some pourable lids on here. And instead of putting it into smaller individual serving size jars, it's easier for me to just use quart jars. And that way I just need 3 and I don't have to have a whole bunch of smaller ones cleaned out. Now I like to use this Brew Booster, and it is a, it's like a elderberry and multi-berry blend, and it tastes really good. I tried one of their other flavors last time I ordered some of this, and it was a kind of a pineapple-y, pina colada-y one, and I didn't like that. And usually I do, so I didn't like that one at all. So for each quart jar, about a tablespoon and a half of the dried berries here. And this stuff is used for flavoring other things too. It doesn't have to be just kombucha. Once I have those in there, a metal ladle. You want to use all metal things if you can, metal and glass. You want to stay away from plastic. And I have to kind of, this thing's really heavy when it's got a whole gallon of water in it. So I just start by taking some of it out. And when I get the first quart and a half or so out of this, I can actually pour it. But it makes too much of a mess if I try to just pour it in here. And you can certainly just leave this plain if you like it plain. I don't mind it plain. I do like the berry flavors best. I'm surprised I didn't like the pineapple one because I really like the store-bought pineapple ones that I can get. I think pineapple peach, and I don't know, I just didn't like the flavor of that particular one. So now these are just gonna sit on my counter for, I usually put them up on my shelves. I got some extra space up there. They're gonna sit for a few days. I've tried them after a day, and they're good after a day. They're best after about 2 to 3 days. Now I'm just gonna put one of these little plastic lids on, and I'm not gonna put it on really tight. I'm just gonna put it on loose, so because this is actually going to carbonate while it's brewing its second brew, or fermenting its second ferment. And if you were to put on like a canning lid and just crank it down tight and not let any of that out, you're going to get it a lot more carbonated and a lot more fizzy. So if you like it fizzier, put your lid on tighter. I don't like it so fizzy that it fizzes in my mouth. I like the flavor of it. I just don't want too much fizz. I like a little bit, but not a lot. So I'm going to keep it just a little bit cracked. And then I'm going to finish filling these up. And you can see the kind of the scum line on my jar, but it's best if you don't wash this out with any soap or anything, because you don't want to kill any of your S.C.O.B.Y. And once I get this down a little bit, we gotta get that S.C.O.B.Y out of there for the next batch. All right, I can probably lift this up now. And this is going to get redder and redder as it infuses in there. And by using just 3 quarts of the kombucha, we're going to have 1 quart left, and that's going to be the next batch. So put these lids on. I got these little pourable lids from Brewing America. They sent these to me, and they got little screw-on lids so you can make it tight or loosen it up a little bit, and they pour really good. I like them. Came in a little set of 4. All right, so there is that batch right there. That is going to be about 3 days we can drink that. And that is how you make kombucha. Now, when it comes to actually serving this, if you want to serve it, because it's got all of the loose berries in there, that's why I like this pour lid. I just take one of these little tiny strainers and put it over my cup. This cup cute. My daughter bought that for me when she went to Iceland. It's my little kombucha cup. So I put that little strainer on the top there, and then I just pour kombucha into the cup through the strainer, and then all of the stuff, the berries and everything, just stay in there, and then the cup is clean. And if it's a fresh batch and it's only been a day or 2, I'll just take the dried berries and just dump them back in there and let it continue. If it's been 4 or 5 days and it's already as flavored as I want it to be, then I just start throwing them away once I get them in there. So these are going to sit up on my counter, on my cupboard up there. And this is actually good enough to drink right now. It's you don't have to flavor it. If you like the flavor plain, you can keep it plain. I just happen to like the flavor in it. So this is kombucha. So fermented foods are really good for you, and kombucha is a really good way to get started in the whole fermenting ball game. I want to start fermenting more foods. I found a couple of books. I found Fire Ferments. It makes, it's a book about fermented hot sauces and stuff, which is actually the traditional way to make hot sauces, and a real fermentation cookbook. I found this at a secondhand bookstore, and I found this book at used on eBay. So both of them are really cheap. But I've been wanting to learn how to ferment a little bit more, and it's intimidating to me, just like the kombucha. But knowing that this is easier than I thought it was going to be, I'm hoping that the fermenting will be easier too. I tried it once before with some gingered carrots, and I know I didn't do it right. They tasted terrible. They were super salty, and I know they're not supposed to be. And now that I know that things aren't always by the book, and it doesn't necessarily mean if it says 7 days, it could take longer in your kitchen, just depending on what your conditions are. Like I said, mine might take a little bit longer because some days it gets really cool in here when we're gone. Some days it's really hot. So I want to start fermenting more foods. But for now, kombucha is my ferment of choice. And when I get more produce this summer, I'm definitely going to be trying a lot more. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make kombucha. Don't be afraid to try it. If you have a friend that's got some S.C.O.B.Y and wants to get rid of some of it, go ahead and get yourself some. I don't think the kit was, I don't remember, it's been almost a year now since I bought it. I don't think it was very expensive, but I'll put a link to that kit that I bought in the description below. So if you need to start from scratch, you can pick that up. And I was really happy with everything that I bought from them. So hope you guys enjoy it. I will see you guys later. Bye.